Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Teaching Music Tomorrow. My name is Anne Molesky, and I am here with my friend Victoria Bowler. And today we are back for more Rote Song Party. Are you ready, Victoria?
I am super ready. What you got?
Some things. I've got some things. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, we did a lot of talking, obviously, in the last episode. It was one of our longer guys, although we tend to always
We had
say
stuff
that.
to cover. We had stuff to get off our chest. Yeah.
We had so much stuff that we're going to have more stuff today. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, if it's okay with you, because I didn't ask ahead of time, is we're both going to share a song, just like how we would teach it by rote, just to kind of give a follow-up for a different deal. But I realized that we talked a lot about lining out or phrase by phrase or my turn, your turn. And then we never did that, like as the example. I think we talked about it and then I did something a little different. You did something a little different because there are many different avenues to teach a song by rote, right? So I thought for the sake of folks who haven't really thought about that, breaking things down like 4 beats by 4 beats, we could just do like a quick K1 example.
Yes.
Hit me with your K1 rhyme or song.
I always go apple tree. That's my tried and true. But we can do something. We can do something different if you want.
That's what I was gonna do. But I was like, oh, let's if Victoria throws something like young and fresh and new, tried and true, fresh and new, right? At me. But yeah, let's do apple tree. So the way that I do this, do you mind if I just share really quickly?
Yeah, do it.
This can count as my song, but I have another one too.
Okay.
So the way that I usually go into this is, of course, it's a game. So we can talk next episode about what it looks like teaching a song with a game, but this is a song that I do teach independent of the game. So I'll teach the song by rote first, right? So there might be some other strategies involved, like teaching the game, telling a story, talking about apples. But when it comes down to actually breaking down the song, right, how you're actually going to teach it by rote, my turn, your turn, I would start by singing the whole song, and it'd look like this. Apple tree, will your apples fall on me? I won't cry and I won't shout if your apples knock me out. And I probably could have gotten a better verse starting pitch and started right on.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, but anyway, so then I would kind of just gesture without words, my turn. Apple tree, apple tree.
Apple tree, apple tree.
Will your apples fall on me?
Will your apples fall on me?
I won't cry and I won't shout.
I won't cry and I won't shout.
If your apples knock me out.
If your apples knock me out.
And now I'm back to like the days of distance learning where you have to wait for the lag.
You have to wait.
All of that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Exactly. So, and then without talking, like I just did, just show longer. So I'm showing those of you just listening, I'm showing a longer phrase. Apple tree, will your apples fall on me?
Apple tree, will your apples fall on me?
I won't cry and I won't shout if your apples knock me out.
I won't cry and I won't shout if your apples knock me out.
Yeah, and then the whole song. So just listen. Apple tree, will your apples fall on me? I won't cry and I won't shout if your apples knock me out. And then,
apple tree.
Yep, sorry.
You're good.
You can if you want to. Yeah. So that's just like a really short breakdown. And if you notice, something that I changed when I sang, Victoria, if you're watching the video, she was ready to sing after the first phrase, which was a great learning moment for me because then I knew when I sang more longer segments together, I needed to connect them so she knew it wasn't her turn yet, right? So there's a gesture if you're watching the video where I'm keeping a steady beat, showing that it's my turn, and then inviting Victoria when it is her turn to sing. And so that's just a like really quick, no teacher talk, my turn, your turn. They listen, they respond. Something else that I add in if I'm doing the whole song is, okay, now close your eyes, and I want to see you mouth the words and sing the song in your brain. And then I sing it really quietly. Apple tree, right? And then they can practice. I can see that they're actually doing all of that I don't hear them singing, but I can see that they're engaged. And then it's their turn to do it independently. And I don't sing with them so that I know that they have owned that song. So I just want to share that really quickly because I realized we talked all around it and then never really did it. last week.
No,
So.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you did that, because you're absolutely right that it seems so obvious, but once you actually break it down, like phrase by phrase, you see how all of those little pieces fit together. One of the things, okay, so I said apple tree because at my new campus, this song is one that I'm doing. So I did this. What's today? Saturday. I did this just this past week.
Cool.
And so this is fresh on my brain. And what often happens with this or any other, pick any song. Oh, that's what I was saying earlier. Sorry, I'm going 30 different places because this is it's strangely exciting to talk about, even though it seems
Yep.
it seems like such an obvious thing. It's not old and boring to students at this campus because I haven't beat the snot out of this song. Apple Tree is one that I'll use for a couple years, and then you have to take a break because you're like, I need a breather, and then you bring it back and it's like fresh and magical, for everyone again. Okay, so with this strategy, one of the things that's going to happen, and you tell me if you disagree, Anne, is you're going to be like this. You'll be like, apple tree, and there are like 3 kids who are continuing to sing it with you, and it has to be like, stop. You are listening. And this is another thing where I don't say anything about stop. Right. And then some kids are going to whisper to you like, she's singing. We're just listening. She's singing. We're just listening. Right. They're like giving the answer. And then you'll do it again, and you'll still have like 2 or 3 kids who just want to sing it with you, even though they don't know the song. They just want to chant along and be included. And I truly think, Anne, that they don't realize that they're singing. They think that they're just listening, but they're actually phonating and kind of trying to chant it along, even though they haven't heard it before, right? And that is totally normal, and especially with these young musicians, they don't know the word echo yet. They don't walk in knowing what an echo is. Even if they've heard that word before, they don't know how to apply it to a musical setting, because how often have they been asked to just listen and repeat something word for word, right? And it's so tempting for them to just want to jump in and kind of, again, just kind of phonate along at the bottom, right?
Right.
And like we talked about last week, that's not an impossible way to teach a song. That's a very normal, that's how they learn the song on the radio. If they're going to teach a little game or activity to each other on the playground, that's how they're going to do it. So it's not that it's incorrect. It's not that it's impossible. It's that we have some very specific aural goals that we're trying to achieve with this, right? And there are other songs that they can chant along and join in whenever they're ready. But for this specific activity, we have a very specific set of aural goals that we want students to have. So with that said, no, go ahead.
I have so many things I want to say, but I just thought, but I won't, because I know we always do this. So let me just touch on one thing. So you made the point that some kids have never had to echo before. And of course, there's going to be those songs in our classroom that it's totally acceptable. Again, we'll probably talk about this next week, that they learn the song as they're doing the activity that goes along with it because of whatever your curricular goal is. I had a Kodai level 1 student this summer, shout out Teresa, if you're listening, who rocked my world, because all those students in that course asked me, well, what do you do if you have kids who start singing? And I say, well, they just get used to, after we practice. And I talked about song starters. So something like 1, 2, ready, sing, or whatever it might be, right? Or here we go, or just something that they know it's their turn without the band director preparatory beat. But she came up with, I sing, you sing, before she started doing it, which seems so simple, but it's just I sing, you sing, so that they're just used to knowing that it's time to do some echo imitation, right? And I say we take it one step further, and maybe that's just how you do echo singing with kindergarten, right? So maybe that's how you open your kindergarten or whatever your youngest grade level is, if you're going to start teaching songs kind of this quick and dirty way, right? Where you say, I sing, you sing, good morning, everyone. And then everyone sings. And then, how are you today? How are you today? And then you can go into some musical conversation. So there's different ways that you can scaffold practicing that echo so they get really used to, in shorter chunks, what it looks like to be my turn, your turn, and the echo and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But tag. Stop talking.
No, I love that. And that's something, we do that all the time. We sing directions all the time. So you would say listen first and then sing apple tree. Or you can say, think it in your head. right? Or whatever it is, like singing the directions in kind of the I don't know, in the world that you want them to be in. That's how you give
Right.
the introduction to the activity. You start it right away. And this is something that you are so big on, Anne. You are always harping on not talking as much. And if you can put your directions in like a metered and tonal context, then you're not going to keep going on and on and on and on and on because you're like, wow, this is kind of boring listening to myself sing on. So I mean, I'm annoying myself, right? So it gives you like an incentive to whoosh, bring it in. Something else that you are really big on, Anne, is not singing with kids. At least not all the time, and it depends on the goals, it depends on the context, but you are really big on not singing with kids. And so this line it out phrase by phrase, it is so huge for kids to just get used to hearing themselves sing by themselves, because what can happen is if our only strategy is we sing it 3 times in a row and kids just kind of join in with us, if that's the only thing that students are used to doing as their song learning strategy, then the only way they're used to hearing themselves is as the follower of the adult in the room. And we want students to have some sort of interdependence in the whole ensemble and not total dependence on the teacher. And so even though this line by line, phrase by phrase thing, it does seem so vanilla, but it's really the foundation of so many other skills that we want students to be practicing.
Yeah, I'm going to start calling it vanilla. I think I used some not nice words to describe it last episode, so I apologize for that, because I do this all the time in my classroom. I didn't want to make it, because honestly, it's like, oh no, I look at my lesson plan, we have 3 minutes as the kids are lining up. I forgot to teach you the song. Let's learn it real quick. You know, it's an easy way to make sure, like if you're teaching however many songs, I know everybody wants a number, the year, you know, in your classes, and it makes sense. The thing is too, is that if you are singing for your kids, not with your kids, you can do the remediation piece, right? So you're listening back, right? And it's so hard because we hear that they're not confident, and so we want to help, and so it's just our natural inclination to start singing with them, but that's actually telling you that you need to do something different. They need more listenings, they need more questionings ahead of time to really think about the song, like all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, we talked a little bit, and we're doing the thing that we did last time again, but we talked about memorization a little bit last week, but that's one of the reasons that I do think it is important to memorize, so that if you're doing something for a curricular goal, then you can sing like my turn, and then as it's the student's turn, you don't have to think about what's coming next, because you have that song so ingrained in you, and you can really make sure that they're singing precisely in the way that you want them to for whatever your curricular goal might be.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll kind of tack on to that, and this is something that we'll talk about next week, is when you are done, let's imagine that you're going to teach the song first and then teach the game. If we have not done enough listening to students, like actually singing it without us, then when it's time to do the game, if we stop singing, then the game totally stops. Right? Whereas if we have been listening to students sing it on their own, then we add another layer of the game and things can continue. What happens if we don't do that, then it's like the teacher is kind of like putting all the energy into playing the game, and we're putting all the energy into facilitating the song, and then that's when we lose students. Do you know what I mean? So making sure that we have what our role is and what students are doing. Like students are responsible for so much. It's not on the teacher to like sing the song and do the dance and put the thing on the board and like show you the solfege, and like we're doing too much. Put it on the students because they can handle it.
Yeah, and that's why we talk so much about how pacing and scaffolding is the actual like classroom management plan, right? Because once they have ownership over the materials, they're able to do the things without having to have so much teacher support. But anyway, you have a song to share, and I have another song to share quickly. So let's go ahead and dive on in. You go.
Okay, I have something different. Will you please hold up your 4 fingers? And I'm just saying this because we're on an audio podcast. In the classroom, I would just hold up 4 fingers. And your curious question is, what parts of my song match? Let us chase the squirrel up the hickory, down the hickory. Let us chase the squirrel up the hickory tree. Take your fingers, turn them into squirrels, put them behind your back. By the end of my song, when I say go, I would like you to tell me with your fingers which parts of my song match. You might say that 1 and 1 match. They're the only ones that are the same. You might say that 1 and 4 match. Maybe you'll tell me that 4 matches 3. But whatever it is, you're going to have 2 hands up with your answer. But hold them behind your back and keep it such a secret. Such a secret. Don't tell anyone. Let us chase the squirrel up the hickory, down the hickory. Let us chase the squirrel up the hickory tree. Freeze. Don't show me. Check your answer. Make double sure that you've got it correct. Okay. And then we go through it again. Up the hickory tree. Wait. 3, 2, 1. When Anne's done writing, show me. You're telling me that, and then I go around the room. You're telling me, oh, I see your answer. Oh, look at this. Oh, I see this. I see this. Let's check. Good, you were correct. Let us chase the squirrel is the part that repeats. I bet that you can sing that all by yourself. So you sing that, and I will sing 2 and 4. Here you go.
Let us chase the squirrel.
This is my turn. Up the hickory, down the hickory.
Let us chase the squirrel.
This is my turn. Up the hickory tree. And what's always going to happen is someone is going to try to sing 2 and 4, and then I'm going to stop and I make like a like I'm silly about it. I'm like, you're trying to sing my part. Like I ham it up, right? And then we do it again, right? And because it's important to me that they know where the phrases start and end. It's important to me that they know what is the same and what is different. Because again, like we've been talking about, this is like big foundational stuff for a million different things that we're going to do with this song later with improvisation and arranging and all this other stuff. And that's it. And then the last thing I'm going to ask them to sing is that last line, up the hickory tree, because up the hickory, down the hickory is so close to up the hickory tree. I want them to sing that 4th part and not the 2nd and the 4th part like in the same round of learning, because up the hickory tree, when we add this game, that's the important part where the tree branches come down. And so I want them to know, like in their bones, in their heart, in their body, where the song ends. Does that make sense? So then they're singing 1, 3, and 4. The only thing I am singing is part 2. And then obviously they've heard it, a million times by now, and they start singing. So using form to teach a song is another one of my absolute go-tos. I do this, as often as I do a line by line, I'm doing something with the form. And even if the song doesn't have anything that repeats, I want them to notice that it doesn't have anything that repeats. So, I don't know, I could take any other song. Víbora, víbora de la mar, por aquí pueden pasar. Los de adelante corren mucho, los de atrás se quedarán. Tras, 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 tras. Which parts match? None of the parts match, right? And I want them to notice when the form is like what we would consider to be elemental, like an A, B, A, C, and when it's just kind of ongoing in terms of the text and the rhythm and the melody. And then we can kind of break things down and find some nuances with other songs in upper elementary. So that's it. That's super, super easy. Using the form of a song and doing your song analysis before we jump in is another just tried and true thing.
Oh, I have so many thoughts. I should let the cat out of the bag. I'm actually working on this for some doctoral stuff right now, like singing accuracy, and there's a lot of things about teaching songs. So my head is really in the game, but I'm trying to hold back. So I want to point out a couple of things. So I have taught this song phrase by phrase, the boring way, and it's not successful because kids sing it A, B, A, B.
Yes.
Exactly like you were talking about. They'll go,
with that last phrase, it's so
squirrel,
similar.
up the hickory, down the hickory, let us chase a squirrel, up the hickory, down the, and over
Yes.
and over and over, and they'll just sing over and over and over again.
And I just want to add another Easter egg. Another one that kids will mix up and do the same thing, and it just becomes a loop, is Rocky Mountain.
Oh,
yeah.
yep.
Do remember me? Do remember me?
Over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So I appreciated that. I wrote down things, and now I'm trying to remember what I thought about.
I interrupted
I loved
you. I'm sorry.
when you. No, I was trying to let you finish. I'm really working on not interrupting. Everybody listening can let me know whether or not that's successful. It's not usually. Anyway, my husband loves that about me. So the example you gave about the finger talk thing, I thought was really helpful. Because even if you've done this in your class, putting your hands behind your back and you're going to tell me which is the same or different. And you're oh, so it might be. And then you showed us all of the different idea,
Yeah.
like things that could happen. So we knew what we were looking for. Then as you were singing, I was like, is she going to want me to hold up the right one? Is she going to want me to hold up the one that's not right? Like what's going to happen? And then you said, okay, you have your thought, you have your decision. Now listen again and check it. And then there was another opportunity when we held up our fingers, like 1, 2, 3, go, right? We all did it at the same time, and we looked around and you checked, and then we listened again and we checked. There were lots of opportunities to check for understanding and clarifying what you were asking. And so I really, really appreciated that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, and that's not something that you need to do, every single time. Like,
No.
after a while, kids know this is, just one of the games that we play. And same thing, like, how many times did I say apple? Hold your hands behind your back, right? Like, how many times did I say tree? So one hand shows me how many times I said apple. The other one shows me how many times I said tree, or whatever it is. Like, it's a tried and true, hands behind your back, and it's a magic answer that you're keeping. It's a secret. Or if you don't like to say secret because that's out of fashion now, you can say it's a surprise if that's your verbiage. whatever it is. Yeah.
Sorry, I took a drink of coffee. Okay, yeah, no, that's great. I love it so much. So I'm going to share something quickly because we're already longer than I think we thought we were going to be. And I might be segueing a little bit into next week, but we're going to go with it. And it's similar. This is all similar. But anyway, so my song is just from the kitchen, shoo-la-loo, with a handful of biscuits, shoo-la-loo, oh, Miss Victoria, shoo-la-loo, fly away over yonder, shoo-la-loo. Do I sing this different than you?
Shoo-la-loo, fly away over yonder.
Okay.
Yeah, I wondered what you were going to do about that, but I like it.
Okay, I sing it different. There's a variant. Anyway, okay, so there are repeated words in my song. Listen again and tell me what they are. Just from the kitchen, shoo-la-loo, with a handful of biscuits, shoo-la-loo, oh, Miss Victoria, shoo-la-loo, fly away. Is that how you do it? Fly away over yonder, shoo-la-loo. What were the repeated words?
Shoo-la-loo.
Yeah, so every time you hear that, I want you to raise your hand. Just from the kitchen, shoo-la-loo, with a handful of biscuits, shoo-la-loo, oh, Miss Victoria, shoo-la-loo, fly away over yonder, shoo-la-loo. Good for you. Okay, so we heard shoo-la-loo 4 different times. I should have had you count. So I want you to listen. Just from the kitchen, shoo-la-loo, with a handful of biscuits, shoo-la-loo, oh, Miss Victoria, shoo-la-loo, fly away over yonder, shoo-la-loo. I wonder if there's one of those that is different than the rest of them. When you hear the one that is different, can you please raise your hand? Just from the... Oh, wait, that's not it. Just from the kitchen, shoo-la-loo, with a... If I sing them all the same, when they're supposed to be the same, that would be helpful. Just from the kitchen, shoo-la-loo, with a handful of biscuits, shoo-la-loo, oh, Miss Victoria, shoo-la-loo, fly away over yonder, shoo-la-loo. Yeah, so when we get to the third shoo-la-loo, it goes up. Okay, and then I give them an opportunity. We don't have to do it. But I give them the opportunity then to sing the shoo-la-loo, with a handful of biscuits, shoo-la-loo, oh, Miss Victoria, shoo-la-loo, and then showing up, fly away over yonder, shoo-la-loo. Yeah, and then the rest of it is one of those that just happens as we play the game, right? So their job is the shoo-la-loo, and then the rest of the game happens and they start singing the rest of the song, right, as they get it. So
love it. Love it.
Similar idea, more complicated song, deciding like, okay, for that one, yes, there's curricular goals. I want them in the game quick, but I want them doing more than just like the flying part, right, across the circle. So that's how I can kind of quick and dirty get that going. Similar to like form, right? Similar to finding what's the same, what's different. Don't need to line out because the text is all the same. Very simple, like this was just a little bit higher, and then we go back down.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And with something like this, in performance practice, if we were to do this like quote unquote authentically, it would be absolutely appropriate to change the melody to the shoo-la-loo and improvise and move things around.
Yes.
Like this is not intended to be like a concrete uniform thing the whole entire time. At the same time, since we're trying to do this not as just like one singer doing the whole thing and just improvising on their own and doing whatever they want, since we have some sort of like uniformity ensemble goal, it does matter that we know what we're going to do, like, for lack of a better term, like congregationally. If you want to think about it like that, right? Okay, so this is a great drag and drop thing, just like the form, because I mean, well, it is form. This is another one that you can do with, a lot of other songs in this genre, like in the African American singing tradition, in anything in that genre. So I'm thinking of like Big Fat Biscuit, Choo-Baloo, just from the right, and like so the Choo-Baloo thing, all around the kitchen, cock-a-doodle-doodle-doo.
Around the kitchen cockadoo. Oh, gosh, I'm like a jukebox today.
That's great, right? So this is something that when you take time to like think about the construction of the song, the way you're going to teach it kind of just emerges. Right? If you know the construction, if you know the purpose, then the pathway to teach it has kind of just, you've already discovered the best way, quote unquote, the best way to teach it, because you've thought through what the piece actually is.
Yeah, which is why, like, again, if you like, so you can start to develop formulas based on like, this is a call and response song, right? And like, I know I can teach it this way, or I can teach this song because I know it's A, B, A, C form, or I can teach this song this way because it's A, B form, like what, like big A, big B, sectional form, right? And as you start to learn new repertoire, or just more intentionally analyze repertoire, you can kind of plug that formula in, right? But that's also why it's so important to maybe on the regular not go copy a song and have it be the new song for the day and have that be like the first or second time you've used it, right? I mean, it happens to all of us, but also like knowing exactly what you're going to teach when and why, and then how it breaks down helps you not only memorize it, but like the actual figuring out how to teach it and what formula to apply will make you memorize it, right? So they all just kind of happen organically when we're thinking about things this way.
Yeah, it's not something that is like an academic exercise. We're not using our music theory brains just to prove that we can identify form. Like, it has a pedagogical purpose, and students are going to live the theory application. Whatever we do in our analysis, it's going to result in like an actual lived musical experience on behalf of students. And it leads to in my opinion, it leads to more creative teaching. I think it leads to teaching that is more fun, because we're not stuck in the, kids chant along until hopefully they've learned it. And we're not stuck in line by line. Line by line is a strategy that we use in conjunction with a lot of other different things.
That works really, really well and can be really effective, right?
Yes.
But like, I mean, to your point, like if you hadn't thought about like how you're going to have kids think about which phrase was the same or different, you wouldn't have thought like, oh, well, we could make it a surprise or a secret.
Yes.
They can put it behind their back. There's this element of like gameplay with it.
Yes.
That makes it way more engaging and exciting for the kids. And then looking, like, so all of that happens by not just thinking like, oh wait, what's the next line? And then, singing it that way. So
that's good.
Cool. No, this is good. I love it.
I like it. All right. I feel good about that. I think that sets us up well for next week. So until then, if people are listening, if you're watching, you can use the link, whatever, platform you are using. You can use a link to Teaching Music Tomorrow to find show notes. And once you're there, you can find links to listen to this wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch the video on YouTube. Feel good, Anne?
Yeah, that's great. I do want to add actually that if you go to our website, you can search. Yes. So at the top of teachingmusictomorrow.com, I don't know if we've ever mentioned this. So all of our episodes are there. It's not, we're playing around with some ideas about how to make the website like a thing that's more usable. So don't hold us to a timeline there, but stay tuned. But anyway, you can go there and you can search at the top and it'll pop up like, what's like creativity or improvisation or any episode, which would be a lot that we talked about, any of those terms, it'll pop up in like the transcript, and then it'll take you right to the spot in the episode that we were talking about it. So that's a really useful tool if you haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell me if I'm wrong, but you're saying like they could even just type, if they don't know the episode name or they don't know like the exact song, they could just type like any phrase that they remember from our conversation, and it goes through and it will pull it. So if you remember that we talked about like something, but you don't know what the context was, or you don't remember the song, or maybe you remember the song, but you don't remember the context, you can type any phrase in there and it will pull every time we've said that phrase.
Or even like if you're doing apple tree with first grade right now, go type in apple tree. And I know we've talked about it on more than just
A
this
million
episode.
times. Yes,
So
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
could go get some ideas.
Yeah.
Teach music tomorrow that way.
You can teach a lot of things for a lot of weeks with all of the apple tree references that we've had. Absolutely. Okay, I like it. And this sets us up well to talk about teaching a game next week.
Yeah, it's probably going to be at least another 2-parter.
Good. That was it. I like that.